Reagan, and today I'm here to do my January TBR. This video is being sponsored in part by Wednesday Books and Simon & Schuster. Now for the month of January, I am being pretty ambitious, but for good reason. For whatever reason, actually it kind of makes sense. Every year, January tends to be one of my best reading years. There's something about setting a new reading goal. There's something about making my what I want to read in 2017 video, which is coming up soon, that just makes me want to read all of the books. I'm actually almost done with one book already. So I really feel like I'm on top of my game right now. So I really want to carry that through this whole month and read as much as I can. But anyway, without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right in. So the first book I'm going to talk about is the book I am currently reading and currently loving, oh my god, and that is Magic Study by Marie V. Snyder. I was really on the fence about this. I'll talk about this more in my wrap up, but this has some mixed reviews, but spoiler alert, loving it so far. This is the sequel to Poison Study by Marie V. Snyder. We follow our main character, Yelena, who at the beginning of the first novel basically accepts becoming a poison taste tester to gain clemency and prevent execution. In the second book, we follow her in a whole new land, exploring her new magical abilities, and it's everything I want. I mean, magic school in one sentence. But in a word, I'm loving this so much that I want to continue, hold up, and hopefully read the original trilogy fully this month and carry on to the third novel, Fire Study, because I literally have read Magic Study, all of it in 2 days, and I'm loving it so much, so I really want to continue that on, and hopefully marathon the original trilogy this month, which would be the original trilogy. Okay, Star Wars, but I really want to read this, so loving this so far. The next book I'm going to talk about is the Peruse-topia Book Club pick of the month for the month of January, and this month Sasha and I decided to go with The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is one of Sasha's and I's most anticipated books of the year. We were really excited when we were like, what do we want to read? We're like, let's do The Cruel Prince. This is, of course, a, fae girl story. Girl gets tangled up with fae royalty. She doesn't want to. The fae are mysterious and evil, and I'm sure a whole bunch of lyrical writing is involved because it includes Holly Black. I honestly didn't want to read the synopsis too closely, but I feel like this is one of a lot of people's most anticipated books of the year, so we thought it'd be fun to pick it up, read it, and talk about it at the end of the month so we can kind of all express our thoughts. So that is our book of the month. The next two books that are definitely on my list is a carryover from last year, because one of these books was a book I really wanted to read last year and it's never got to, so it's definitely one of the books that are on the top of my list for 2018, and that is Scythe and Thunderhead by Neal Shusterman. Scythe is the first novel, and Thunderhead is the sequel that is coming out January 9th. But this is a series that is right up my alley. I love Neal Shusterman books. I've read I don't know, 8 of them or something like that, and I have been meaning to pick this series up for so long because it sounds so flippin' cool. Scythe is about a world where basically all human suffering has been done away with. There is no death, there is no disease, there's no war, there is no misery. So therefore, the only way for somebody to die is if a scythe, someone ordained with the task, takes their life. In the first novel, we follow two characters, Citria and Rowan, who become apprentices to the current scythe, and I believe we follow their journey as they kind of get trained in the art of death. Honestly, this novel has intrigued me forever, and I've been wanting to read it for so long, so now that I have the sequel, I feel like it's a must read, a must happen. Neal Shusterman is one of my all-time favorite authors. I feel like he does such a fantastic job putting a mirror up on society and making us reflect and kind of be haunted by the world around us. He's awesome, and I just cannot wait to pick this series up. It's definitely on the top of my list. The next book I want to read is Between the Blade and the Heart by Amanda Hocking. Now this is described as Game of Thrones meets Blade Runner mixed with Norse mythology. Honestly, that's kind of all I heard, and I was like, okay, I don't need to hear any more because that sounds so flippin' awesome. So this follows Malin, who is one of Odin's Valkyries, to slay immortals and return them to the underworld. However, one day she discovers a deep secret that kind of unravels everything that she knows, and she and her best friend, who's also her ex-girlfriend, have to go on an adventure to kind of figure all this out. I love Norse mythology mixed with fantasy, so I'm really excited to see how this novel plays out, and I'll definitely be sharing my thoughts at the end of the month. The next book I really want to get to this month is The City of Brass. Now I picked this up This was one of my book of the month selections last month, and I've honestly heard incredible things about it. So many people have been commenting on the video I showed it off, be like, read that, I hear it's so amazing, and then also seeing it in so many other videos, it just, I need to read it as soon as possible. This is a lyrical fantasy novel. This is a lyrical fantasy novel set in 18th century Cairo. We follow our main character who does not believe in magic. She is a con woman, and then one day she accidentally summons a warrior genie. And honestly, that's all I need to hear. I've never read any novel set in Cairo. I've never read any novel centering around warrior genies. So this really appeals to me at a lot of different levels, and it just sounds incredible, and honestly, the cover is so stunning that go ahead and look at it for a little longer. And the last book I really want to get to is definitely part of my top 10 books I want to read in 2018, which again is coming out soon, but that is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman. I have had this plan to read more Gaiman, and I have been failing at it so far, so I really want to make it a priority starting this month, and Neverwhere is a book that has been on my radar for so long, and it's been one that I feel like I'm really going to enjoy. This is about like a sub-level secret London where like things fall through the cracks, like a dark and eerie part of London that like no one can get to or escape. This follows a man who falls through those cracks of London. This is actually an urban fantasy novel and one of the most famous urban fantasy novels, and while I read a lot of fantasy, I don't actually read a lot of urban fantasy. It's not a genre that I pick up very often because I have such a soft spot for like medieval, more high fantasy novels. So this is definitely something I'm excited to read and definitely expand my fantasy horizons, and again, hopefully really enjoy. Alrighty guys, those are the books I plan to read this January. Let me know down below some books you really hope to read this month, as I would love to know, and I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Goodbye!